build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober.
Hello everybody, welcome to Longbangers. This is episode 145. I'm Matty and I'm joined tonight by John and Colin. John, how are you doing?
Hi, excuse me. Got a wee tickle in my throat. I'm alright. How are you?
Aye, alright, still pretty livid about the weekend, if I'm totally honest. But Bailey was in to get his balls cut today, so I had my mind taken when you're worried about something else that's no football related. I was kind of worried for the dog all day, but he's alright. He's come back and he's just having a wee quiet evening to sell the day with it.
Come back totally spaced out?
Nah, not as much as I thought he was going to be like dead chilled, but he was like a wee bit lethargic at first, and then when he got in, he was all excited because he was seeing everybody again, and hopefully just has a calm night, and then back to sell them on. Anyway, Colin, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm better than I was on Saturday. Thank God for a quick bang, unless you get off your chest, innit? So I feel better after that.
I tell you, it's an amazing thing. Having like an old rant right after full time, and thanks to everybody who's kind of clicked into our recast to watch it as well. We made a wee decision to kind of just try and stick it on there and see how it did, and it did really well. So please continue. Remember to recast it when you're on there, because you can get credits if somebody else watches your link. So this is a wee tip for folk if you want to kind of build up credits to watch the next one. Do that.
And it kept away for the Hibs cunts as well, didn't it? So it was a double barrel.
That was the main thing. I didn't want to end up on a meme on YouTube where I was all greeting about the fucking football. So thanks anyway. There were a few Hearts fans, I think, that went on and watched it. So thanks for your money, Jambos. Right, a wee announcement before we kick off, because we've got a lot to pick through for the derby tonight. We've been kind of working behind the scenes over the last few weeks on how we could deliver some extra content to everybody. So first thing we say is everything that you currently get from Longbangers free of charge, you will continue to get free of charge from Longbangers. What we're offering up is a membership or a subscription service for anybody who wants a bit more than what you get at the moment. And I know there are some daft souls out there that do like it and do ask us for more stuff. So it's £3 a month, which is 75p a week. It's the equivalent of one Tesco meal deal if you've got a club card. It's cheaper than a meal deal if you've not got a club card. So there's a life hack for you. And what you get for that is all the episodes that you get free of charge, obviously. You'll get all your episodes a day earlier than everybody else, which is nice to have. You'll get Longbangers Extra Time, which is a new series that's going to come out. This will be following directly on from our Monday night Longbangers, and it will be us kind of picking the bones out of one of the key issues affecting the club at any given time. So, for example, tonight we are going to have a look at how the fuck we've ended up in the state that we're in, bottom six and taking a hiding for our rivals. So that will be after Longbangers. You'll get that each week, and you'll also get an extra short bangers. And we are looking at pulling in some really special guests over the next few weeks, and something we'll continue to do for short bangers to try and get people who are actually funny on to help us out. So on top of that, so if that's not enough bang for your buck on your £3 a month, we will also give you 15% off our Redbubble store. So if you go on Redbubble and you have a look, you'll see we've got non-horny boner merchandise out there, which has gone quite well. And we've also got a nice nifty wee 80295 range as well. So if you want to go and have a phone case with 80295 or a pin badge or a fridge magnet or a fucking t-shirt, whatever takes your fancy, you can get 15% off. And the last benefit at the moment is when we do our live show in October. I think we'd initially looked at that being the 14th, but I think it's going to be the 21st now. We'll give you a big discount on the tickets for that as well, and you'll get priority for them. So, did I miss anything for all that? Ad-free as well. Always be ad-free.
That's the one I was going to say, because it's the big one for me. It's when I listen to other podcasts, adverts are the most annoying thing. So
So we don't
That's
have
3
adverts
years.
in. Yeah, don't have adverts in Longbangers at the moment, but that's not to say they will never come. If you want to always guarantee that you avoid them, then sign up. And you sign up at longbangers.hubwave.net. That's longbangers.hubwave.net. And it's dead easy to process to sign up. If you get stuck, send us a wee DM on Twitter and we'll fix you out. And then the last announcement, or John, Colin, do you want to ask me anything on that before I move on?
No. What is payday?
It's payday, aye. I never know. I never notice when it happens. It's all gone by the time it comes in. That's why we're having to do this. And we got a message from Dave Thompson, one of our listeners, who has been working with Sam H, who do the changing rooms mental health initiative at Easter Road. So it's going to be a new drop in at Easter Road on the 25th of April. It's for guys who've been through or are considering the changing room 12-week programme. It's for guys who just want to have a chat in a safe space. So if you don't contact the club, just listen in Longbangers over the coming weeks for more details, and we'll share them as we get them. But it's something that I know Dave's been working on for a long time with Sam H. And it's a great initiative. The changing room, we know from podcasts that we do previously and the Heatbangers podcast how important an initiative this is for people's mental health. And not to make light of mental health issues, when you watch Hibs and you watch Hibs on Saturday in a fucking derby, you need all the help you can get after it. So, without further ado, that's probably enough housekeeping and admin for a night. While we get stuck into this shite show on Saturday, John, I'll come to you first. What were your thoughts?
I thought that Hibs were doing all right up until Dre Wright went off, and then everything seemed to crumble a wee bit. And then obviously Hearts equalised just before half time. I've gone to the toilet, I've come back, Hearts have scored again, and I basically switched off at that point and just got really, really drunk for the rest of the day.
I think anybody can blame you for that either, because you probably took the right option. Colin, what about you? What was your thoughts on it?
Not too dissimilar. It was just the first half. It started okay. I think I said half hour when I was speaking on Saturday, but actually on reflection, it was probably less than that. But we got the goal, probably fortunately, with the 2 deflections. But then once they got their goal, like I say we probably were a good team for 20 minutes, but then there was 20 minutes of nobody really dominating all that, and then they got a fucking goal, which was really poor. And in the second half, we just never came out, and it was just humiliating. I was saying today, like I feel bad about it, but actually, I don't feel as bad as I do when like you feel hard done by, and in terms of a refereeing decision or a offside goal or a ball across the line or all these things we've been on the wrong end in derbies in the past. This one's just like purely down to us, and it's fucking brutal. But at least it's just down to us. We're not arguing about referees or goaling technology or anything. We're just
there was nothing unjust about it.
No, totally deserved what we got.
What happened then? So we did start fantastically well. We got a goal after 4 minutes. Jay Wright. So was it Wright or Mueller that scored? It's kind of hard to tell. I thought it was Wright's goal, but they were kind of talking about it as being Mueller's goal for a wee bit. But and we looked well worth the goal lead. Hearts were struggling to fucking cope with it for, like you say, Colin, maybe 15, 16 minutes of the game. John, you've pointed to Jay Wright going off. So the sub that we beat there was Jay Wright for Josh Campbell. How significant, John, do you think that change was in the scheme of how the game panned out?
I put a jokey tweet on, it was maybe Sunday morning after I'd woken up, and it was about how Hibs were winning when Dre Wright was on the park and how Hibs lost when Dre Wright was off the park. The substitution, I think it was forced. I believe that Dre Wright was injured and we had to make a change. I wouldn't say that it was Josh Campbell's fault. I know that a lot of people probably, like, there's been a lot of criticism of him this season. He's not good enough, X, Y, and Z isn't good enough. I don't think that I think it had something to do with it in as much as it probably altered Hibs' lineup, but maybe even just speculate on that. Because, like I say, there was a point where I got drunk and stopped caring.
Yeah, it wasn't a like for like substitution though, was
No,
it?
that's kind of what I'm
Campbell,
getting at. Yeah.
You know, it was like, so Dre Wright was injured, hamstring or whatever it was, but when we brought Campbell on, you're thinking, all right, we're change of formation here or something, because like, maybe tighten the midfield up in the middle, because that's where Campbell generally plays, a bit of workhorse in there. I thought maybe that's no bad. Then we're going 2 up front rather than that 3 thing or whatever it is that we do. But then somebody says Hearts changed the formation in the second later on as well, which maybe had more of an impact than that you know than it did us making the change. I can't remember what the change they made, the formational, but they made a change, didn't they? So here we are, top of your fucking game here, eh? They made a change. I don't know what it was, and it's formations, so I'm not getting it. But that's probably more an impact.
I say Hearts definitely changed, because I think it was is it Craig Fowler on Twitter had sort of alluded to it. That's the only reason I know, because I wouldn't have fucking picked up on. I'm too nervous at derbies anyway. You're sitting there fucking every time they get the ball, you're going, fuck's sake, fucking hit him, get the ball back. And then when we get the ball, you're like, go on. So it's derbies are too frantic to kind of pay attention to formations and stuff like that for me. But there was definitely a turning point in the game. But as soon as it turned, it stayed turned. Generally, we never got a look in after that. Colin, what speak to you about Newell and Doyle Hayes? So they've come up before in our discussions, right? Because I think it's fair to say we've got a midfield that isn't especially good at attacking and isn't especially good at defending.
Yeah.
Is the combination of Doyle Hayes and Newell the issue, or does it go beyond that?
You rarely see the two of them playing well in the same team. I think it has happened once or twice, and I've called it at the time and went, they can't play together, right? Because there was a couple of games at the start of the season, there was a couple when they both got fit again, but out of 30 games or whatever it's been, they've not played consistently well together. I do think they're missing a body in there though, as well. I think we're light in the midfield. We basically play 2 in there, and that's it, because the other boys are wing backs, defenders, 10s or whatever the fuck it is. They're all, but nobody's a midfielder, so we feel light in there to me. But you're right, Joe Newell doesn't shoot. I'll give him a wee bit of credit. Like, I thought he was the only one that, and I know there's some talking points that'll say I'm talking shite and I've not got a clue, but I thought he was the only one that still was trying, or one of the only ones that were still trying later on in the game. He was still making tackles or fouls. He still put a cross in that I remember nobody got in the end, obviously, because it's a cross into the box. So we just need to fucking stop them, I think, because no point.
Waste fucking time.
But he was the only one still trying. Doyle Hayes is a bit more your unseen type player, I think, and I don't see him. But he's
no bracket him in Brian Kerr territory, are you?
Well, I do. I think he is a bit. Apart from when he scored the 2 goals, and then he's never hit another shot since. It's I don't know if they need another body in there. If they had a body in there with him, they would be better, like they were at the start of the season when McGuinness was there. So I don't know if it needs to be a McGuinness type or if it needs to be a more defensive type that allows they two to get further forward, because they both claim to be more attacking players, don't they, in interviews?
Aye.
It's funny because you're saying that. I think the criticism of Hibs strikers has been that we've needed another body up front, and you're saying that we need another body in midfield. We could probably do with another body in defence, and another player between the
two goalkeepers.
Need about 15 players.
But is that not because all the bodies that we're looking for to play in the middle are all out wide and fucking wing backs or wide strikers or whatever it is,
or free roaming? Some, because one of the things I noticed, I think you're spot on, Colin, but the extra body, right? So you look at when we got the ball, and it was most notable in the second half. If we got the ball in the midfield, the player was on their own. So Melkerson would maybe have to drift it wide. You get the ball. There's no Hibs player within 20 yards of him to pass to support him. There's obviously 2 Hearts players on him, so they just take the ball off him and away they go again. And it's the same, not just Melkerson, but when Newell got it, he's not got an option, and he's not got anybody near him to play it short to. It's like, I don't know whether they try to make the pitch big, right, which is a stupid thing to do at Tynecastle anyway, because it's like trying to get 3 beds into a matchbox, isn't it? Like, it's fucking stupid. You can't make it big. It's a shitey wee stadium in a shitey part of the town full of fucking shitey fans. But if we're trying to kind of stay wide or hug the touchline or whatever, and you've got two men in the midfield who aren't close to each other that can't stay on the fucking ball, it's just a total waste of time. I think why you would persevere with it.
Yeah, and I mean that one of the goals, I can't remember. It was Halliday's second one, I think. He was totally on his fucking own. Nobody ran with him. Nobody went. I don't know whose man it's meant to be. Neither of them went back the way with him, or they were too far up, or whatever the fuck they were. I've not watched the goals back, but you just remember him. He was in Acres. It was the same. The second goal, that boy Haring. The boy's like fucking running about on one leg, or the boy's injured all the time. So he must be slow, right? But now, and he just stood there. He almost stood and thought, do you make the run, like a coaching session or something, right? Make the run at the back post, I'm going to knock it over into you. And that's what he done. It was fucking mad. Nobody, even before he done it, I'm shouting, I was watching at the telly, I'm shouting at the telly, fucking go him. Like, nobody went. They just stood and gave him all the time and space that he needed to, and he picked out a beautiful pass for the goal. But, and I know Doyle Hayes did track that one back, but the ball was just too good, right under the boy's toe. But fucking hell, where was everybody else?
Ball watching,
Terrible.
John, the first goal that we conceded, there's a lot of flack for coming Hanlon's way on Twitter after it because he kind of got bodied by Sims, is that his name? The forward.
I don't know. I don't know what the boy's name is, but he was. But the criticism that Hanlon gets, it's the same criticism over and over again, and I don't know whether it's because he's coming for criticism in the past and it's because he's an easy target, or whether it's legitimate. So the chat over the weekend has been that he's been weak and he's been bullied and he's been thrown about like an empty tracksuit, but he's not alone in, how do I put this? He's not alone. He's not unique amongst defenders in Scotland to find themselves losing their footing or to be come up against someone bigger than them, or whatever it happens to be. So I don't know. I'm kind of in two minds about it, but like, and I think as well the difficulty I have with that situation is that Doyle Hayes was there and could have cleared the ball. Instead, Doyle Hayes didn't. Paul Hanlon, half off the deck, tries to get something on it and clears it, and just unfortunately puts it straight on Halliday's foot.
It was.
He did get emptied though. I mean, and he's the captain, which brings further attention. He's been criticised for that all his career. He's never been able to shake it, and it doesn't happen every week. But when it does happen, it's kind of noticeable and picked on. And the boy cleaned him out. Like, it was like for an experienced centre half. It was pretty embarrassing, really. I thought to get knocked on your arse like that.
I can't remember if it was a point that was made on Quick Bang, Colin, about Hanlon being. I don't want to kind of make excuses for anybody because I think anybody in the Hibs team deserves to have excuses made for them after the weekend. But Hanlon looking worse because of the players that are around him. So the back three that he had was Doig, an inexperienced centre half, Bashiri, a no very good centre half. Dare we say?
Inexperienced centre half.
Yeah. Like, so he isn't an experienced centre half, but I would question whether Bashiri's at the level where we need him to be where we want to be. Well, obviously, it's no, because we're not where we need to be. And I'm not just pinpointing him, but I think if you've got Porteous available, we get a better performance for Hanlon as well, because he's no.
Aye, but then what we're saying there is we need the young gun back to protect the old head.
Old one, aye. But Hanlon, well, I'd say Porteous is better than Hanlon, in my opinion. I think Porteous is probably the best player in the squad at the minute.
Yeah.
When he's not suspended. I mean, Jordan, I suppose the other question, Mark, that we have for how the team was set up, you've got Harry Clark on the left-hand side, right-footed player, has played his career on the right-hand side. 2 games in a row, we've stuck him out on the left. We've got Lewis Stevenson on the bench, who could easily have played that position to put Clark over where Bashiri is if you wanted to improve that side, or he'd move Cadden back a position and play Clark on the right-hand side. What's the argument for playing a player out of position in a game like that?
That's a good question. I I don't know about the argument, but the justification perhaps was that he was probably Hibs' best performer.
On Saturday or the week before, because he was good against who did we play last week? Dundee United.
Dundee United. Yeah.
Bear
Got
in
the goal
mind,
for that position and that.
bear in mind, I was drunk for all of the second half. I'm
He
just
was
going
probably
on.
still. He probably still was our best player on Saturday, even though he was out of position. But then that begs the question: how good he could have been on the other side, and we could have strengthened that side.
So I think the difficulty with that as well is like, could you so that Maloney's coming in for all his stick. Hibs are under a lot of pressure for the fans now. Like it seems like no one is escaping criticism, probably for the ticket office up to the boardroom in Ron Gordon. And I'm trying to imagine a situation where Hibs play Stevenson over on the left, and they drop Cadden so that Clark can go in at right back, or they drop Bashiri to go in. It's right centre half or whatever. It just seems like folk will just have a go at it. Because I do think that the situation that we've got is not ideal in terms of who's coming back from injury, who's out injured, and I said in the pub on Saturday, Hibs are just fucked. Hibs are just in a really shitty position right now, and I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think that pointing at Harry Clark left wing back or wherever it was they happen to be playing. It's not ideal because he's right. He was brought in as being this sort of marauding right-hand sided player, and he's playing on the left while Stevenson sat on the bench. But folk have been wanting Stevenson shot off for years as well. So what is the answer?
I know, but we're playing somebody to position, actively playing somebody to position when we've got somebody that we know can play that position, while playing Bashiri there, which is presumably where he steps in, and you knock everybody across one, and you put Stevenson in, and you take Bashiri out the side, and you're instantly a better team. So that's the question, isn't it? What's the justification for playing him out of position when it's impacting the whole quality of the team? Some of the parts is less by doing that.
Yeah, I think
agree. Don't get me wrong. I've said this before, that I don't agree that you should just be shoehorning your best players in regardless. Like Harry Clark's probably, based on your inclusion of him in our starting 11 the other week, he's one of our best players.
Yes.
But no,
player of the year, by the way. I reckon he'd be player of the year.
Don't
easy
think
and
he
young
should
player
have been playing out on the left, because I don't agree with it, not because of any reflection on him.
Yeah. I know, I'm not criticising him for being on the left, because you say he was probably still the best player. I just think that it's not the balance of the team and weakened the team. It seems crazy to me. Because
you've also got Josh Doig then playing left centre half, where he's less effective. Because Doig's strength is in bombing up and doing that side of the park. But you see him at his best when he's getting forward.
Yeah.
No one is doing the defensive part. So you nullify the strengths of Doig. You weaken Harry Clark because he's known his natural position, and then you're putting up with folk who probably shouldn't be in the team on the right hand side because you want to play them for whatever reason. And I can't remember who said Stevenson. I can't remember who else. You would Scott Allen was on the bench. I'm not sure that was a game for Scott Allen. And you had Jasper on the bench as well, where he could have come on, and he could have came on later on. Didn't really do anything, but even the sub bringing on Campbell for right. I just think why you wouldn't put Stevenson in. You know what the atmosphere is like. You know the players that can cope with Tynecastle and the ones that might not be able to. And Stevenson can definitely do it. He's been there, seen it, and done it, and got the t-shirt. So it's just frustrating. I can't get my head around it. I think we'll come on to it when we talk about the talking points, Colin, about Sean Maloney and why folk are probably questioning him to the point that they are. But the upshot was with a second half that was totally unacceptable on every fucking level. I mean, John, you were probably 3 sheets to the wind by this point, but Colin, do you have anybody that came away with the pass marks for that second half?
No, none. I think, no. I was trying to give credit to Joe Newell at one point because he was putting a couple of tackles in and that, but you can't even get no pass marks. No, the best of a bad bunch, or Clark, Newell, keeper didn't do anything wrong. I see folk are wanting them changed in the teams they're picking, but it's like the two goalies are 50-50. It's a toss of a coin. He done nothing wrong. None of the goals were his fault. It's just personal dislike, preference, what you want to call it, that causes that. So no pass marks that second half at all. Not even really no, say nobody close to it. I've gave two that probably were close to it, but not pass marked. The other ones were no even like above 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 15 or whatever.
So the frustrating thing, or one of the frustrating things, there's loads of fucking frustrating things, right? 3-1 down. So you lose the second goal, or the first goal at a shite time, second goal at a shite time, third goal kills the game dead. Hearts at that point, if they'd wanted to, probably could have fucking put another 3 or 4 past us because we were so far out of that game. Craig Gordon doesn't have a save that second half. I can't mind him making a save from anybody. I think he dealt with a pass back, maybe a cross, and maybe shot one over the bar or something. But how do you go in a derby and be 3-1 down and no fucking trouble the keeper? Is that how? And who's that on? Is that on the players or the manager? Who carries the can for that?
Well, the players are the ones on the park at the time. They've got to sort themselves out. That's where like folk call for leaders and that. That's when you see leadership. Like I know folk, I think it's a somebody bawling and shouting for somebody making a mistake. It's about like actually leading and going and doing, trying to affect change. And we never saw any
project manager. Is that what you're talking about?
Project manager
would probably be the right person for that gig. But is that Short Bangers extra? That's a Short Bangers extra one.
Yep.
So the there's just like there was nobody there. Like I mean, we're saying that though. Nobody did. We have a shot on goal in the first half? Like we
scored.
Deflection, 2 deflections. That was the only goal. That was the only thing Gordon had to do, was try and stop a double deflection going into his goal. Other than that, he never had anything to do in the whole game. Like nothing. He had the day off. So we never really created anything the whole game. But we felt better about the first half because we were leading 1-0.
Aye.
And if we'd held on at half time, I don't know how much different it would have been. But it's got to be. The managers can change the formation and the tactics and that, but when it's in the moment like that, it's got to be the players that are the ones that are driving it on.
One of the comparisons I was talking about the game after, I think it was quite bang. It was even after that. Why it was so annoying. So you're two goals behind, and you look at the difference between 2016 2-0 down at time, as the song goes, 2-0 down at time, half time. We were never out of that game from the start, but that team came out and went on to go, fuck it, we're no losing. Mm-hmm. And they gave it everything to get back in the game. Eventually can score the last minute, and so on. Rest is history, money spinning, replay, and all the rest of that as well. It was a performance that is a world away from what we saw on Saturday when the teams went, fuck it. I can't get my head around how anybody, how the players think it was acceptable, or when you're part of that, what stops you, do you think, John, doing something about it?
What do you mean? Sorry.
If you're a player, right, so you're in that game, right, you put yourself in the position of Jake Doyle-Hayes or fucking Milkerson, or pick one of them, Paul Hanlon is the captain, and you can see how that game's going. What do you think stops you doing something about it?
I don't know. I think this is something that always sort of colours the way that I talk about Hibs games and Hibs players' performances. And that is that, like, the highest level ever reached was Edinburgh Finance League, which was none. Like, we don't know the things that go through a footballer's head, like a professional footballer, like the rigours of professional football, training every day, playing every week in front of folk that are, quite frankly, like, baying for blood at times. Mm-hmm. I understand that there's how do I put this? A lot of folk have grown up with, like, the likes of Roy Keane grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck and all that sort of stuff, and, you know, getting folk back into it. And you made the point there about, like, 2016, for example, and I don't think that that's a fair comparison because the circumstances are very, very different. When you think back to 2016, it wasn't just 2016, it was 2015, 2014, it was the relegation, it was the sort of reinvigoration of the club. Mm-hmm. And you've got the opposite end of the scale now, where, like I said before, the club is, like, the playing staff, I think, are absolutely fucked.
But at the same time, though, that wasn't just a derby on Saturday. That was top 6, a potential European. I mean, there was a lot at stake on Saturday, and you could not tell that there was a lot at stake there.
I agree, but I don't know. Like, I don't know that there's a switch that can be flicked. Like, there could be one player who says, "Right, I'm not putting up with this. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it." Like, still 11, 10 other players on your team. If they're not feeling it, if there's, if it's 2 players and there's 9 players, that you've still got to go up against the opposition, who by that point are 3-1 up. Like, what do we do? What does anyone do? What do the players do? I genuinely don't know the answer.
David Gray would put somebody in there, wouldn't he? And
I get that. I do understand that. Like, we've talked about that before. Like, Matty's made the point before about David Gray, and there's been other players like James McPake in the past. Whatever. I remember Kevin Thompson once coming on at Tynecastle and just going through some of my Hibs were getting beat.
Aye.
But what's the tangible difference? Like, it makes us feel a bit better because we've crunched the Hearts player.
No, but it gets the crowd up for it. It gets people up for it. It shows it leads for the front. It's lack of belief is the answer to the question, I think, Matthew. That's what they went 3-1 down and they went, we can't come back for this. We'll just keep the score down as best we can. That's what. Whereas the guys in 2016,
so is it lack of belief in themselves? Is it lack of belief in themselves, or is it lack of belief in Hibs and what Hibs are trying to do? What do you think it's lack of belief in?
Could be any. I would imagine in that one, it's like we're not good enough to come back for 3-1 down. So it's the team, the lack of belief in their own teammates. I would guess there that they thought, 3-1 down, no chance, and they've just totally switched off. That's what I mean. We all did. We all switched off. I said it on Quick Bang. You said it. You stopped watching it. You were having a beer. I was sitting on my phone, trying to work out what other results we needed to stay in the top 6, and we nearly fucking did, by the way, because Motherwell scored and Ross County the fucked it. But I was doing that. I wasn't paying full attention to it after that either, but then I've just taken my lead for the players because they were switched off. So they switched off. They did, for what I saw, they didn't believe they could get back in it and didn't try. If you believe it, you try, and they didn't try. They didn't put any effort in. There was no tackles. There was no shots. There was no chasing, harrying. Fuck all. Nothing. No urgency. Nothing in the second half. And I put all down to they didn't believe in themselves.
How do you coach that? Because this isn't a new phenomena for Hibs. Like, Hibs have been flung about like an empty tracksuit at Tynecastle before, and it's recurring themes. So how do you change that? Who changes it?
Well, I think the manager is probably the one that has to do it, because look at the different Stubbs. Stubbs had a great mentality when he went up against Hearts. Like, there was no inferiority complex. There was no worried about what they were going to do to us. It was, we'll go and play our game and we'll play it well. We've got good players. We can go toe to toe. And he did that against Rangers. He did it against Celtic. Lennon wasn't scared when he went. Although Lennon never always got a result there, we never ever capitulated like we did on Saturday against them.
Well, we did when we were chasing for Europe. He changed everything when we went to Tynecastle. So can we put a line through that one?
No. That performance was better than we saw on Saturday. As shite as that performance was, it was infinitely better than on Saturday. Saturday was about as bad as I've ever seen it at Tynecastle. Aye, it was a shite result, but it wasn't a performance like that. Like, we were in that game. Like, we weren't great, but we were in the game. Saturday, we were fucking hopeless. I think the manager's the biggest influencer, but I think you made a great point, Colin, about the belief, because I probably hadn't kind of thought about that until you said it. And you look at do you think the players believe in what they're being asked to do?
Aye, well, that's a good question, because that could be they're like the way they're getting asked to this for like the formation or the style of play or whatever it is that maybe they don't know, maybe they don't believe in it. But I don't. So it's just a lack of like personal responsibility. Like, you go and do your job as well as you can. Doesn't matter if you're fucking playing wide fucking left or whatever these formations we're playing, positions we're playing now. But like, go and do your job as best as you can. Try your hardest and go fucking put a bit of effort in. And it didn't look like that at all. And I know like that's worse than spitting at a fellow pro, like saying somebody's not trying and all that. But it's fucking. That's what it looked like. Like they could tell me they could go and get their fucking wee sat navs out their back and all that and prove they ran more than normal or whatever it is they want to do. But Saturday watching it, they fucking gave up and didn't believe they could get back in it and just went, fuck it, we'll try again next week then. But if they didn't believe last week, how are they going to believe next week?
That kind of brings them. So we'll kind of move on and have a wee look ahead at what the impact of Saturday's result is on the semi-final coming up, and then we'll go into your talking points, Colin. So, John, how damaging or otherwise was that performance and that result for us going into Hampden on Saturday?
Well, it's not going to sell any more tickets, that's for sure.
100%.
Yep.
In fact, I think you might see the number of tickets that Hibs have sold. You'll maybe get like 3,000-4,000 less that actually turn up on Saturday. There's been quite a few bodies. It turns out that in my new team, one of the guys turns out to have So I was asking him, "Oh, so you going on Saturday?" He's like, "I've got a ticket, but I'm not sure." And I think there's probably a fair proportion of the folk that have bought tickets for Saturday will be feeling the same way. Cup games are cup games. Like I do think that there's something like it's regulation time. It's 90 minutes, blah blah blah. And I know that that's the same as league game before you start, Matty.
I was going to say then.
But it is like there's no like the long season grind. It's a cup competition. It's 90 minutes. You can be through to the final. I think, like Colin said, like if they didn't believe that they were going to get back into it on Saturday, does that mean that they? Because I think the flip side of that is that they need to go out on Saturday and start the game the way that they did on Saturday, get ahead and stay ahead. Because otherwise, if there's a sniff of a goal, everyone's going to start getting twitchy bum holes, and we could end up with a repeat of 2012.
That's my worries. If I'm fucking, shuddered at the thought, but if you're Robbie Nielsen, you're telling them, because Hearts are good at starting quickly in games normally. I think Saturday was an anomaly for them. But if you're Robbie Nielsen, you're telling them, chuck fucking everything at it. That first 15 minutes of the game, chuck everything at it, because if you score in that 15 minutes, Hibs will crumble, and we fucking will crumble. There's no way, if we concede an early goal, that we're taking anything for the game, in my view. Colin, what were you? How do you see it impacting?
Aye, my biggest hope for the impact is complacency now for them, and that I don't think they're talking about winning the game anymore. They're talking about how many they're going to win it by, and I think there's a difference there in mentality. So if we can no let a goal in, I know what you're saying about getting an early goal and having on to John, I mean, didn't let a goal in, then they'll be there. If we're 0-0 at half time, 0-0 after 60 minutes, the grumbles will be coming for their end, because they've turned up thinking, well, we'll do them 7-0 at Hampden this time, and then we can shut the fuck up about that as well. So I think that they're coming in, they're going to be massively overconfident, whatever you want to call it, and arrogant, and fucking how many we're scoring. And well, we've been there,
Aye.
Doesn't happen. So that's my biggest hope for the weekend.
Okay. What's your score prediction for it, John?
3-0 Hibs.
Oh boy. Colin, what about you?
1-0 Hibs or penalties. Penalty win.
I take either of them.
Harry Clark hat-trick. Feel left wing back.
Play the kind up front. Fuck it.
I will get scudded there. That's kind of going through just one of those ones you're going through as a sense of duty. I think it's going to be an enjoyable afternoon in any fucking sense of the word.
I'm just saying that with hope, like total, like heart no head. So that's the. I'm not predicting a Hearts win. Yeah,
if nothing else, I'll be home for a reasonable hour, and it's only because the game's kicking off at 12:30. No, like
fucking annoying. No, I'm on it. I went and got a bus, which means I've got to wait in the fucking bus. If it was a car, I could be away home. Could be home before full time.
Do you know? Fuck it. See if it comes to the crunch, I might just side the bus and get the train home.
Let's wait for the bus here, Dover. Right, Colin, you want to get some bangers for the bangers?
Yes. So there's 2 or 3 topics here, and then we're going to do that one we said on the extra. So I've got the board. or the senior management. I've got the semi-final, formation and style, and I've just got a miscellaneous bucket there as well. What would you like first, John?
I'm going to go for miscellaneous because that's the only one I remember. I forget the other two categories.
Right, so Mikey Stewart asking, should the people who bought tickets for the semi be punished by getting first dibs for the final if a miracle was to happen? What do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely right.
Daft bastards.
After season ticket holders, of course. Nick Ross thinks Hearts aren't our city rivals, they're our bogey team. Basically, no matter how bad they are, they always get up for us and always think they'll win the derby. It'll take a generation to fix. I'm told to say I was surprised today. Saddened, but not surprised.
Yeah, just before you go on, the thing about being the bogey team, that's how unlucky a club Hibs are. That the rivals of the bogey team. It would be great if it was Dundee. You wouldn't give a fuck. See if you just, or Johnson, if you just never ever bet them, you go, fucking fair enough. Fucking Hearts though.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck's
But
sake.
the thing is, they weren't always a bogey team, and it got fixed after a generation for them because in the 60s and 70s, Hearts were shite and Hibs were the top team. So it can be flipped back. It's just we're unfortunate our age that suggests that. And of course,
You'll miss it.
they built up all the fucking wins when it was 4 games a season. When Hibs were good, it was 2 games a season. So that's why the numbers they always spout out after a derby win always look worse, because they won in the 4 games a season time. Jack, why are we constantly muscled in derbies? It's been the same story for 25 years. Ragdolled and timid.
See, on that, right, Sean Maloney said at his Q&A, and I think in his pre-match conference as well, that he was concerned in the first derby that he was in charge of, that would happen, that we would be physically weaker than Hearts. And he says, but we weren't. And then he went on to say that we were in better condition now than we were then. So the implication being that the work that he and his coaching staff had been doing had put the players in a position where we would not be ragdolled by Hearts.
Were
we would not fucking...
Were we ragdolled though? Hanlon was on that one occasion. Or were we just outplayed, like in terms of formation, and did Nielsen just do them tactically?
Both. You got done tactically, but we were weaker in every challenge. If you look at it, right, and it is a mismatch because Melkerson's a young laddie, and was it Harron that he was up against, or whoever the centre half, Halkett? Anytime the ball came in, it was coming into Melkerson's feet with his back, and Halkett was just fucking going through him, just taking it off him every fucking time, just about, because he was stronger.
As well. Yeah. So it's not just.
So yes, but then what does that say about Hibs' physical condition? When do we see us doing that to another team?
But we have seen it in derbies over the last 25 years at times, but I suppose it's more an anomaly than it is a regular occurrence. You got any thoughts on that, John? You look thoroughly pissed off at the bottom of my screen.
Nah, it's do you know, it's probably was it Jack had said that we were out-muscled and timid and saddened but not surprised, and I think that was pretty much where I was.
Yeah. Ian T just says Les Mahagow would like to ask Longbangers if they believe that everything in life can be tied to a quote for the Big Lebowski, and is the dude a hibby? I think it's just in reference to some of the questions that we've asked in previous weeks, because I've got one here actually. Andy Crane was wondering, he says there was rumours of a punch-up in the changing room after the game on Saturday. Having said that, do you think Darren McGregor liked Scooby-Doo after Scrappy joined it?
Well, I know that I wasn't a fan of Scooby-Doo after Scrappy joined it. I think who was it done it? Was it the Simpsons? Simpsons made a joke out of every cartoon that just introduces this sort of gimmicky character, and it was it Poochie?
Poochie, aye.
So Scrappy Doo was Poochie.
Spoiled,
Aye.
Okay.
Right, so I've got the board or the semi-final formation and style.
Will we work our way from bottom to the top, or we go for semi-final and then go for the board?
Right,
yeah.
Let's do that. Right, there's a few in here. Right, so I'll stop when I've got a question. I'll read some out when it's not a question. So Guinness 2022. As tough as that was at the weekend, if we were to spin it positively, we have a chance to put it right this weekend, which would be way better than 3 points. I'll have them sweating for a month over the precious third spot when it'll count for fuck all, which is a point I agree with. And how would how would we view playing very defensively to kill the game and trying to nick it late on or on penalties? The passing possession game is either not working at all or isn't working with current resources. Which I would just go fucking 6-4-0 like.
Would you see?
Have we got 6 defenders?
I think
they'll play midfield now.
Right, so I can see the logic in that, right? But you can't how bad it is when you're 1-0 up and you're hanging on, and Hibs can't hang on to anything.
Yeah.
We just can't do it. It's like, we'll sit in and we'll try and not let them. So that's when we concede after 2 minutes. Our game plan is to fucking stop them. There'll be like they'll thump it for the kick-off. Hanlon will get fucking caught under it with Macy going for the same ball. It'll bounce off Rocky Bashiri's shin, fall for Andy Halliday, who'll hit the fucking ball and it'll fly into the fucking top corner. And that's it. Game plan fucked after 7 seconds. We can't defend like that, so no for me. Go and fucking beat them.
Mm-hmm. Right, what do you think, John? Super defensive or actually try and win the game?
I don't know if you remember. Remember the Casper the Friendly Ghost derby at Tynecastle where Riordan scored the penalty. So I remember that Hibs were pretty shit then, and I think that that performance was mostly defensive, and we did manage to nick it with that penalty. So I wouldn't be against it as such.
They don't get the penalty for just a big launch up the park from Akalambi as well, wasn't it? And was it either got pulled down, gone for it?
Yep. I think was it the Greek defender that pulled him down?
Aye.
I forget his name.
That's EK.
I would take the chance. of going heavy defensive, 5-4-1 or something like that.
We definitely need to crowd the midfield. But whether we do that in a defensive formation or an attack one, you need bodies in the fucking middle to compete.
Yeah.
I think some sort of change needs to take place because, as we've already discussed, what we're trying to do at the moment isn't working.
Yeah. Nah, the midfield's totally exposed and something needs done there. Whether it be even Campbell going in, because Campbell will run about all day. That's maybe more his type of game. He's played better in these types of games when it's not about having the ball. Anyway, David Loudon. We've got Bashiri getting roasted all game with Clark stuck at a left wing back with Stevenson on the bench. Wright goes off injured. On comes Campbell to play out of position, make it even harder for the boy. Some of our players look like wee boys out there today, so disjointed. I think probably you almost said the exact same point, Matthew.
Good point, David.
Well said.
Is that your second account, Matt?
Yeah, that's
account.
Talking point of the week goes to David. There we go.
So we've got TG Willis, never turned up second half, can't complain about the result. Yep. Dave Thompson, are we progressing? We're not. Why didn't Lewis Stevenson start? Who are the football people appointed football people? Scary times ahead.
You know, just on that one, I kind of try to rattle through them because we're running out of time, right? But it's almost a contradiction in the questions, like that paradox to say are we progressing, and then pointing to Lewis Stevenson, the longest serving player at the club, as being the evidence to say we're not progressing. We should have played him. Actually, what we should have been doing is putting somebody who was much better than Lewis Stevenson on the park to take his place. But the fact that we're not progressing means Stevenson was a better option than what we had right there.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had a better explanation of a paradox in my life.
Thanks very much, mate.
That's what you come here for. You get so much on the extra as well. We're heading for a relegation playoff butcher style result, with no signability to change it from Sean Maloney or fight from the players. Connor Scott, that was one of the worst performances I've seen. I can't see how we can beat them next week. We offer absolutely nothing at the moment. Brian Malone, the next person to tell me Newell is a player, hasn't got a clue. Hello, Brian. The guy's a lazy bastard, can only foul. And but to be fair, I was praising him for fouling.
Yeah, this is true.
Arden Snedden, we have Milkerson up top who ends up in midfield more than our midfield does. Now here's this bit, this is like proper football manager stuff, right? We've got a right back playing left wing back, a left wing back at centre back, a left back at centre back, 2 defensive midfielders and 2 free roaming centre attacking midfielders that are too far apart. Yep, the idea.
And I think the knee bone's connected to the shin bone.
I was like, what the fuck are these positions? And he said, it's just all letters.
He's right, though. He's right. Like, it's nonsense.
Kind of what we've said, and just that's it in football manager. What we were saying earlier, that's it. Explain the football manager terminology.
Yes, well done, that man or woman. They were guess the sex.
Yeah, Aaron or Aaron, I'm not sure how you'd say that, but it's one of them.
Here,
So-
I had to stop a fight in the deep sea on the top of Leith Walk on Saturday, and the boy's name was Aaron. Was that you, Aaron?
Aaron Snedden, maybe that's what he's tweeted in.
What were they fighting for, John?
Oh, Aaron seemingly poked a friend of mine's stepdaughter in the chest.
Oh, in the chest.
Aye.
I like
I've not heard that. I was
it.
going to say, I've not heard that terminology for years.
I'm saying seemingly because I never saw it myself, but I believe her because she was quite upset by it.
Oh, so who? It was Aaron. Was Aaron the culprit, or?
Aye, no, I'm joking, but the boy's name was genuinely Aaron. It wasn't Aaron that's messaging in because Aaron that poked the girl in the chest was quite vocal about being a jambo.
I've just remembered I've got the Sean Maloney topic I never told you about as well, but I've got the board, then I'll go Sean Maloney. Sean Maloney's fucking
Yes.
huge, right?
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
No,
Nobody's ever said that.
it's big in Japan. Anyway, right. The board. So the board, sorry, my eyes are a bit stinging here. I'm just going to up. The board, we've got one for EH6 HFC. What's the odds on him selling up if we lose next week, or if we don't win any league games? Something's not right just now. It needs to be sorted. There will be minimum crowds next season. And on that as well, Mark McKenzie, don't understand why so many Hibs fans are desperate for Ron Gordon to be Vladimir Romanov. What do you think? What's the odds on it?
Nah, he's not even.
Nah.
Chance.
No,
He's putting money in off the field. Why would he be? What's the, the hospitality upgrades that they're talking about, the big screens, all that stuff, the improvements to the training centre. Why would he be selling that up?
There's no. For me, I don't have any concerns at all on that side of things. Now, there might be concerns about how competent and how effective they're in delivering the things that they want to deliver, particularly like that's 2 bottom 6 finishes in 3 years under Ron Gordon. So there's a big question mark there in terms of the trust issue. I didn't distrust him. I don't think he's got ulterior motives at all. I think what he's telling us he's wanting to do is what he's wanting to do. We'll cover this a bit more in Longbangers Extra about how we've ended up in the nick that we have, and the board will form a part of that conversation, I would think.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a couple more things then. Neil Shanks, owner and club management at fault. Gavin Skene, we need top-down change. Have no confidence in any of the people in charge at the club. 0. And two different ones about money. So Andrew Brown and Paul Mackay, 210516. The club is run for making money more than it is a football team. You're never going to make money personally out of owning Hibs. The sooner Ron realises this, the better. Cheap agency signings are not the answer. We need some real quality players in. And Paul's one was all Hibs seem to be interested in is making money. Pure and simple, as much as possible. Fuck the consequences. To go from third in a semi-decent team to this shambolic shambles, which is quite a good turn of phrase. It's worse than Fenlon and Butcher combined. If Hibs send me an email about the season ticket, they can do one. It's a bit complaints about us trying to make money.
So,
or no, that's not the complaint. That's flippant. They're trying to make money, but at the expense of the football side, I guess is what they're saying.
yeah.
But that's not what's been said by anyone at Hibs. Like the whole idea behind bringing in the number of sponsors that they have is to reinvest in the playing staff. And you can't invest in the playing staff if you didn't have any money. So Hibs have to make money to put a team on the park.
I think it's one of these things, right, that it's almost you make this, and it's an easy one to do it. I can totally understand why you would do it, but it's like a false equivalence between the two. It's like you should focus on winning football games. That should be the priority, right? Now, the way that a board can focus on winning football games is to do all the off-field stuff, right, to generate income, to get to the manager, to buy the players. That's about all they can do. So Hibs getting an extra 10 sponsors in a season doesn't mean that the manager or the players aren't focused on winning the game on a Saturday afternoon. And it's that, and it is because it's frustrating. You see like a game like on Saturday, and then Hibs go, NordVPN, and you go, fuck NordVPN, beat fucking Hearts. And it's very easy to get into that you know, that's just what you think, because you're going, not interested in NordVPN. I'm not interested in any of your other sponsors unless they want to sponsor us as well, right? But you're not interested in any of the other sponsors
I'm
because
the one my boiler fixed until
Nah.
fucking Hibs when I gave me
that's
football.
it. Chris
Right.
Carrick can look as happy as fuck getting his boiler service. Watch him look happy as fuck on a Saturday afternoon because we've pumped hearts. But it's dead easy to do that because the rest is just dressing. If your team's no good, it doesn't matter what you could be the best of but the greenest club in Scotland. Nobody gives a flying fuck about it if you're sitting bottom six and looking at who's our last two home games? We've got Aberdeen and St Johnstone, a lunchtime kickoff on a Sunday afternoon when we're playing for fuck all. At best, we're playing for fuck all.
Well,
At
hopefully
worst,
we're playing for fuck all.
at worst, that game's going to be important.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get it, but I think it's a flawed argument deep down. Though, is that fundamentally, John, you're right that you need to generate the income to make the product on the pitch better.
Mm-hmm. There are millions of comments about Sean Maloney, right? And I'll just go down, I'll get as many names out as I can. So Malbergen, Gordon Smith, Daniel, Doogie HFC, Dean Clements, David Ora, Thomas Young, Connell Tracy. That's our starters talking about should we get rid of Maloney? Something we shouldn't be even considering it before the biggest game of our season. Needs to get 2-3 transfer windows. Some are suggesting Stephen Robinson, David Gray, Ian Murray, Yogi Hughes, Gray again, Scott Brown. Name an ex-Hibs player.
See the Stephen Robinson one?
Yep.
Was the tweet no, right? And I came with the logic is here. If St Mirren get relegated, should we get Steve Robinson?
Aye, it was a reply to somebody else, yeah. So it's how about Robinson if St Mirren... I thought he may have had a shout when Maloney got it, aye. So it's not Shane, it's Robinson.
But, so he's St Mirren manager at the moment. So you want to replace Maloney, who would not be relegated, assuming St Mirren went down, with the man who took St Mirren down?
Yeah. No, I don't think he's suggesting Robinson, actually.
You know? Maybe just misread that tweet. I saw it.
He is. How about Robinson if St Mirren get relegated?
I was sure you didn't want to take the manager that's taking St Mirren to. That seems to be like a total...
No, that's the context there, aye. Sorry, it was a reply, that's what confused me, but no, he's saying, how about getting Robinson, aye.
If he kept him up, you would say take him if he kept him up, but no if he takes him down.
Daniel's saying if Maloney does go, it needs to be someone that knows how to run a dressing room. Douglas, I think David Gray might have the makings of a manager. David Ora saying he wants Maloney to have a summer transfer window, but if he does get sacked, he wants an experienced manager though. Dean Clements should have broke the bank for Alex Neil. Yogi's the man for it now though. We need to stop Thomas Young. We need to stop employing rookie managers. We got lucky with Mowbray and Stubbs. Connell Tracy was also saying no point punting a rookie manager for another one. Maloney's more qualified to take charge of Hibs now than Brown is. And it goes on and on and on, mate. There's just loads of them, eh? So, Spikey L, Rizzo think David Gray would be better. It's just like I've not seen a name there that's inspiring. Folk then starting with sack Jack Ross for less. You know, these kind of things. So that was Cannon Hannon. So yeah, it's a wee bit. It's a bit all over the place, really, isn't it? It's sack him because it was worse than Jack Ross's record, but it's not really. Like it's the same, isn't it? For that last period of Jack Ross's record, you've not given him the 2 years prior to that Jack Ross got. It's just so happens his has come at the start of his reign rather than the end of his reign, I suppose. But folk are using that go well. That's what Jack Ross's record are, and I don't know if Ron Gordon would be that trigger happy again. Don't know why I'd think that, but there was a good point though for David Reynolds. He thinks it all went wrong when Jack Ross stopped wearing bright white trainers. So should Sean Maloney give him a call and borrow them, standing on the touchline looking like he's wearing big white flippers?
Are we talking about Sean Maloney getting Jack Ross's shoes and wearing Jack
shoes? Yes,
big white trainers.
Yeah.
Imagine they've got the same size feet. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, just because small people have big feet sometimes.
Are
Yeah.
Are we saying that Sean Maloney is deceptively short, or that Jack Ross is deceptively tall, or that
Neither, just that they might have the same size feet.
I bet there's only a couple of inches in it in height. I mean, what's Maloney? Well, maybe not. Jack Ross was centre half, eh?
Aye.
But maybe 3 or 4 inches just.
Would you right? So
just
only
that makes all the difference.
Only got a few minutes left, right? Would you take Bartley, Gray, and McGregor as a management team?
No.
No, it's just no. Based on what?
I like them all.
Oh, I like them because they're nice people. Aye, yeah,
Aye.
and they're legends in that.
Because Darren McGregor will flash a YLT from time to time. Aye, okay. let's get him in. That works for me.
Right, and then just a quick round the table before we wrap up and start recording Longbangers Extra to discuss the state that we're in at the moment and how we've got to this point, which will be available for those of you who go to longbangers.hubwave.net and click on the wee subscribe button there for the paltry sum of £3 a month. 5 games left in the season. There were comments there, Colin, that you mentioned that there's a whiff of the butcher about this season. Are we in trouble? And are we in trouble? And do you think we are safe from relegation? So the 2 points. Colin, come to you first, and then John, you can answer, and then we'll wrap up.
So we're struggling, but we're top of the bottom 6, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody else is in more trouble than us currently.
As we were with Butcher.
But I think I don't know I've not even looked at the comparison, the league table at the time. I feel we'll be okay this time, but I did feel that under Butcher as well. I can't see how every other team. There's only 5 games left now, isn't there? I can't see how every other team's going to get enough points to. I mean, St Johnstone basically need to win all the games.
I think somebody said St Johnstone need to get 9 points and us to not win any games or to lose all the games. But St Johnstone had 7 points for the last 6 games, and they've played Celtic and Rangers in amongst that, I think. So,
aye, because they got 7-0 on Saturday. So,
aye, it's no beyond the realms of possibility. I think with the Butcher, I think I'm right in saying we were never out the top 6 until the weekend of the split, which is exactly the same as this time. Really? And we were never in the relegation places until the final day of the season, where we ended up in the playoff.
Yeah.
John, your thoughts on it?
Much the same as Colin. Really pragmatic look at it. Obviously Dundee are not going to catch us. I think they're definitely going down. But in terms of the relegation playoff spot, St Johnstone need to pick up a lot of points, and Hibs just need a couple.
What's better for us is 1 win probably does it, but we said that 1 draw didn't the whole time. But what probably helps us is looking at the fixtures. We need Dundee to be still in it with St Johnstone for as long as possible, so that they're still fighting against everybody else.
I think is it 5 points between those two?
I don't know.
I thought they might have been further away actually, but I've maybe misremembered.
And I don't know when they play each other. You think they would play each other like but we've got them both the last 2 games, haven't we? So if they're battling out with each other and taking points off each other and other teams, then by the time we get to them, hopefully, even if we've done nothing, they've sorted out themselves by relegating each other almost with that fight.
I mean, I worry. I just see it as the Butcher experience still haunts me. And I just see it playing out again. You just see a team that just doesn't look like they know how to win a game of football. That's us now. Which is, we
won, didn't we?
I know what you mean, but they did beat Motherwell in the cup game.
Like, how long ago was that, though, John? How long ago was that? And is there only 1 league win this year? We've had.
Aye. Well, the interesting about that stat, because I saw it tweeted by Pie and Bovril. So teams that have I think there was 4 teams that have taken 9 points since the start of the year. I think it was Hibs, Aberdeen, Dundee, and Motherwell. And Motherwell are top 6.
Mm. We were nearly top 6.
Just about. Let's see if we got that penalty against Dundee United today. Instead of Mueller getting booked for a dive.
Yep.
It's
fine margins.
Fuck the fine margins. Fuck the referees. Thanks very much for listening, folks. Anyway, we'll be back with short bangers for those who don't subscribe on Thursday, and for those who do subscribe, stay tuned because we'll have Longbangers Extra available in your podcast player anytime now. Thanks for listening, John, Colin. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time.
drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.